Hello my beautiful Skittles, and welcome back to yet another video here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for all of your continued support. It means so much to me. Today, if you guys remember, on stream we started making our vineyard. This is sort of the conclusion of that, but I wanted to take those of you that were not able to make it, I wanted to take you through how we got started, what we were doing. Pay no attention to my PNG tuber who is just blathering on. I wanted to have him there because he's cute. So don't try to make out what he's saying because you'll go crazy. It's like a ventriloquist dummy, really. And if I talk just at the right time, it sounds like what I'm saying is actually what he is saying. So that's cool. Somebody pull his string, he's not talking. Anyway, so this was a very kind of inspired build. This is on our French island of Croissant, and I thought a French vineyard would look really cute, really aesthetic, and you know, who doesn't love a little bubbly every now and then, you know? A little adult encouraged beverage, if you will. So I used these pergolas that have this sort of pinkish, purplish hue to kind of mimic the grapes that you would see in a vineyard. And this is not my idea to kind of trench them in like this. I did see it on Pinterest. I did see it in a couple of other places. And I think it was just such a cute idea. And so, because the pergolas themselves are incredibly tall to begin with, and they're kind of clunky. So kind of building around them, giving them this sunken sort of vibe, feel, I think was truly an inspired thing altogether. And it really sort of, it mimics grapes on a vine, right? Because in the Animal Crossing, we don't really have anything, like any vegetable that really kind of grows on a vine that would kind of mimic the grapes in a field. So we did the next best thing, and we found a pergola that kind of did the job for us. And I wanted to put the dirt path down just to kind of, again, drive home that idea of it being kind of planted and sort of these are the vines that they're growing up from, and just sort of the whole illusion, I think, really worked well together. And it was a very inspired moment for us on stream, and it turned out so cute. So I went 2 spaces in between each section just because I wanted to make room for like a little pathway, a little walkway to kind of walk around the vineyard a little bit. And I think just kind of adding that extra space really does open the possibility of sort of what you can do. And if you have the right pathing, now again, you guys know that my relationship with pathing is tumultuous at best, right? But we're getting better at pathing, right? I am super proud of us. We graduated to trying to use a little bit more complex pathing, and I think it truly has helped me rekindle my love of decorating in Animal Crossing. I think that's where my slump kind of came in, just because I was so down on myself because I could not, for the life of me, grasp what I was doing wrong with 9P's paths. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has problems with 9P's pathing. But I'm here to tell you, it does get better, right? The motto of everything, it does get better. You just, like all things, you have to practice with it. Or, like me, have a bestie who is pretty much a pathing queen, and she helped me considerable amounts of times. So to kind of add to this idea of this vineyard, I really wanted to build it out a little more to give it more of an entrance, right? When you think of the vineyards like in Napa Valley, California, or in, all throughout wine country, as we call it here in the States, it is truly almost an aesthetic all its own. And it is one of those things that is breathtaking, right? From a distance, the perspective that you have, just all of the vines growing up, all of the grapes growing up, really do provide a beautiful backdrop to the wonderful country that is the Napa Valley. And at sunset, friends, let me tell you, it is phenomenal. Just picture it, right? In the words of Sophia Petrillo, picture it. Napa Valley 2023, right? It is a spectacle. It is a sight to see. And it really inspired me. Even though when you think of vineyard, you kind of think of Italy, but I really think the French have a pretty good handle on wine and sort of its pairings, right? It's very Parisian. And that's kind of what I wanted to mimic here. I'm also wanting to do a little more touch of nature, if you will, because it is a natural island, natural in air quotes, because I'm doing my best to try to make this island as natural as I can without falling into my comfort zone and going really city or really kind of eclectic. We'll call it eclectic, right? Sort of that not quite natural looking. So it is definitely something that I am working on gradually, and it's coming together. So we're doing an orchard next to our vineyard. So I think adding the nature to the vineyard will really help to bring both ideas together and to drive home this idea of being in a natural setting and surrounded by beautiful fruit trees, wonderful grape trees, bushes, sort of everything that comes together. And this beautiful path adds that little hint of romanticism, if you will. I think, it's such a gorgeous addition to this vineyard because it has the daisies mixed in with the dirt, and it kind of still drives home that natural organic feel that we're going for. And I think it truly is a great parallel to the very kind of rustic vibe that we're going for. And so, this pathway is being used all over this island. It is done by the wonderful April Honey, my bestie for the restie. And it could not go any better on this natural island. I am still working on my relationship with pathing. As you can tell, I have some twists and turns that I'm just, at the time I was like, okay, we'll get this. It'll do what I want it to do. It'll go the direction I want it to. And then it doesn't. And then I'm like, oh no. So many times I started and stopped, and I was just like, okay, you really need to breathe. You'll figure it out. Really take a look at the paths, the direction that they're going, and the direction that you want them to go. And that's really the secret, I think, to 9-piece pathing, is you have to look at the directionality of it, because it pretty much tells you the direction that it can go. There aren't many directions that this path can go. So you really have to focus on what kind of pathway you're wanting to create. If you're wanting to create a more narrow one, or if you're wanting to create a little bit more of a topsy-turvy one, which I happen to love. I love a good windy path. Don't get me wrong, I love a good windy path. But sometimes I have to really think about where in the world this design is, like the design is going to go, and can I make that fit with what I'm trying to do. As you can see, I used the middle pieces instead of the side pieces because, again, I had a brain lapse, you know, my brain fog kicked in, and I'm like, this does not look right. And so once you kind of smooth it all out, you get it put down, it truly does come together. And use the middle piece. There you go. And I'll find myself just like talking to my avatar as if he can respond to me and as if he knows what I'm talking about. Do you guys do that? Do you just kind of like have this conversation with your mini-me like, no, dude, you really need to just stop, take a breath, really focus on what you're doing, don't get too anxious, right? And it's like therapy almost. Like I find myself doing that on stream too. It's like I'll just catch myself like yelling at my avatar like it can really respond to what I'm saying. And all of my friends get a kick out of it. All of my chat get a kick out of it too. It's like, dude, you're freaking loco. Alright, what are you doing? But this path, I think, again, really just kind of the nature elements throughout this island, it really called for a vineyard and an orchard. Like, what's more naturally occurring than an orchard? Like, that can pretty much sustain itself, right? It was such a welcome addition, and it really kind of helped bridge the two concepts together. So you have the initial vineyard concept where you have just pergolas that are trenched down, and you know, you have nature all around it with flowers and bushes and this beautiful pathing. But then you need to further exemplify this this design, right? And you know, Bud is talking to me while I'm talking to you, and I'm just gonna ignore him because I'm busy. I'm trying to do this pathing. Can you not see this, Bud? Like, I'm trying to get these paths to connect, and I'm having a really hard time. It's getting really frustrating. And I just remember during this part, I was so frustrated because I'm like, why aren't you just connecting? And then I remembered. I had to bridge them together with the middle piece. I also added the barbed wire fence for two reasons. One, it very much screams nature to me, right? Because it's not so heavy like you would find in like a wooden lattice type fence. And most of the vineyards that I've been to, a lot of the grapes are just cordoned off with barbed wire fence. Like, it keeps a lot of the wildlife away because they're really not going to try to traverse anything pokey. And I think aesthetically, like, it reminds me so much of those vineyards that that you're used to seeing in pictures, or if you've been able to visit orchards and vineyards. It just truly just drives that whole image home. And that's why I kind of added the lattice with the grapes. Now, all of these custom codes that I'm using, the creator codes will be in the description of the video, so you too can use them if you want. I had such a fun time trying to find them on stream. It was so cute. The best thing that I found was this umbrella code that looked like a bushel of grapes. And I thought, what would be perfect to have it like front and center next to the wine bottles and the wine keg, you know? I thought that was so perfect. And this garden wagon, adding nature, flowers, anything to kind of just drive that idea of just beauty. And when you think of a vineyard, that's what you think of, right? I mean, I do. I don't know about you. I had a harder time with this incline because I was trying to work around the Lloyd, and the Lloyd got in the way a few times. So I kept interacting with the Lloyd and not actually laying the path. So it took a couple of tries, but I finally figured out the distance away that I needed to be from the Lloyd. And the path still turned out really cute and really great. It connected, which is beautiful. And it really, I think it also kind of bridged these two concepts together. Just consistency, cohesiveness is what you need first and foremost. I wanted to also add, you know, as much as I could in terms of giving the illusion that it is a winery, or not a winery, like a vineyard. So all of these lattice with the grapes on it is everywhere. We did it with some hedges. It just turned out phenomenal. I had such a great time with it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.